What if the kindness you've cherished your whole life now leaves you exposed? In our golden years, as the world quiets, vulnerability sneaks in. Wisdom makes us targets for those exploiting our trust. It starts innocently, a helpful neighbor or long-lost friend, but hidden motives threaten your peace, savings, and freedom, like 74-year-old Mr. Arthur, who lost his nest egg to a kind acquaintance. In this video, uncover the shocking patterns, spot red flags, and gain simple tools to protect your heart, home, and well-being, ensuring joyful, secure years ahead. Stay till the end for one key insight on your inner circle that unlocks lasting happiness. Danger number 1: the weaponized kindness. You know, it's a surprising truth, but often older adults become targets not because they're weak or frail or somehow less capable, but exactly the opposite, because they are so genuinely open-hearted. Think about it. You've spent a lifetime being the helper, the provider, the one others could count on. You've raised families, built careers, and volunteered in your communities. That innate desire to be kind, to offer a helping hand, to say yes when someone asks for something, it's a beautiful part of who you are. It's a lifetime of good habits, of being a good neighbor, a good parent, a good friend. But here's the unsettling part. That very instinct, that deep-seated desire to help, to avoid conflict, to simply be nice, can sometimes be weaponized against you. It's like a superpower that, if not guarded, can be turned into a vulnerability. As a doctor, I've seen it play out in countless ways, where that generosity, that trusting nature, is subtly, almost imperceptibly, exploited. It's not about grand scams initially. It's far more insidious. It's about someone knowing your good heart and slowly, carefully, chipping away at your resources, whether that's your time, your peace, or your pocketbook. Why does this happen, especially as we get a little older? Well, it's tied to the natural process of aging. We tend to value peace more. We've fought enough battles in life, haven't we? The idea of a confrontation or hurting someone's feelings just doesn't appeal to us like it might have when we were younger. So, instead of pushing back when a boundary is crossed, we might just smile, nod, and quietly carry the weight. We tell ourselves, "Oh, it's just this once," or "They really need the help." And it's that deep-seated inclination to avoid conflict, combined with a lifetime of being a giver, that creates fertile ground for exploitation. You remember Mr. Arthur from earlier, don't you? The gentleman, 74 years old, tragically lost his wife and found himself alone. His story, sadly, is one I've heard variations of countless times in my practice. He was exactly the kind of open-hearted soul I'm talking about. When that young woman from his neighborhood started visiting, bringing cookies, helping with his new smartphone, sitting for those afternoon chats, he welcomed it. And why wouldn't he? He was lonely. He appreciated the company. He saw her as a friendly face, a kind soul, a connection. He didn't see the slow, steady erosion of his savings account that followed, because each request felt small at the time. $20 for gas, a little help with a bill. Each yes from him felt like he was just being the good, kind man he'd always been. But by the time she vanished, so had a significant chunk of his financial security, leaving him not just poorer, but heartbroken and betrayed. He just wanted the company. He wanted to be helpful. And that beautiful, generous spirit was used against him. So, what can we do? The first, most crucial step is to recognize this pattern in the first place. Understand that your generous spirit is indeed a gift, a truly beautiful thing, but it also needs to be guarded. It's not about becoming cynical or cold, it's about becoming discerning. Start asking yourself, genuinely, quietly, is this person truly appreciating my help, my time, my kindness, or are they consistently taking advantage? Are they refilling your cup, or just constantly sipping from it until it's dry? Remember, genuine kindness is one of the most powerful virtues, but it needs to be given to the right people. It means being thoughtful, deliberate, and sometimes, yes, even saying no. Because true kindness isn't about letting yourself be drained dry. It's about giving from a place of strength, not obligation or fear. Danger number 2, the ache of loneliness. As we get a little older, something truly profound happens within us. The fear of loneliness, that quiet ache inside, begins to speak louder than it ever did before. It's not a weakness, not at all. It's a very human longing for connection, for someone to talk to, for someone to just notice you're still here, still vibrant, still full of life. Many of us have seen our children grow up and move away. Perhaps our spouse has passed on, or our close friends have moved to warmer climates. The social circles that were once so bustling naturally start to thin out. Why does this ache become so powerful now? Well, our bodies and minds change. The effort it takes to go out, to meet new people, to maintain those connections, can sometimes feel daunting. And in this stage of life, that emotional vulnerability becomes precisely what some people with bad intentions can sense. Almost like a shark smelling blood in the water. They know that if they offer just enough warmth, just enough attention, a friendly chat, a listening ear, a regular visit, you might, quite naturally, let your guard down. And once that guard drops, your protection, both emotional and sometimes financial, can drop right along with it. It's easy to fall into this trap. We long for companionship, for someone to share a cup of coffee with, to reminisce about the good old days. And when someone appears to fill that void, it feels so good, so right, that we often overlook small warning signs. Remember Mr. Arthur? Part of why he let that young woman into his life was that very human need for company after losing his wife. He was looking for connection, not exploitation. It's a sad reality, but this yearning for belonging can make us susceptible to those who only feign interest, whose true motive is to take. So, what's the fix? Don't let the fear of being alone lead you to accept just any company. Instead, actively seek out genuine connections in safe, structured places. Think about your local community center, a senior group at your church, or trusted volunteer organizations. These are places where people come together with shared interests, fostering real camaraderie. Real connection nourishes your spirit. It doesn't drain it. It makes you feel seen and valued, not used. It's about quality, not just quantity, in your relationships. Danger number 3, emotional exhaustion and avoiding conflict. Here's another subtle but potent danger we often face as we get older. Exhaustion. And I'm not just talking about physical tiredness from gardening or playing with grandkids. I mean emotional exhaustion. When you were younger, you likely had the stamina to argue, to stand up for yourself, to question things, to push back against what felt wrong. You had that fire in your belly. But now, it's different, isn't it? Many of us simply don't want to deal with confrontation. We've been there, done that. We'd much rather keep the peace, avoid drama, and enjoy our quiet days. We're tired of battles. So, what happens? When someone pushes your boundaries, when they ask for one more favor, one more loan, one more emotional dumping session, instead of pushing back, you might just nod, offer a polite smile, and carry that extra weight quietly inside. You rationalize it. It's just easier this way. Or, it's not worth the fuss. But let me tell you something vital. Something I've learned from decades of caring for people just like you. Peace that costs your well-being is not peace at all. It's silent suffering. It slowly chips away at your joy, your energy, and your sense of self-worth. You are sacrificing your inner calm for someone else's convenience, and that's a trade-off that rarely pays off in the long run. The deep-seated root of this is the desire to maintain harmony, to be seen as nice, which has been ingrained in us for generations. But when nice turns into doormat, that's where the problem lies. The solution here is simpler than you might think, though not always easy. Start practicing small no's. You don't need a grand excuse, a lengthy explanation, or a dramatic confrontation. A simple, polite, but firm, "I can't right now," or "that doesn't work for me today," is perfectly fine. You don't owe anyone a dissertation. Prioritize your inner peace. It's not something to be given away freely. It's something you've earned through a lifetime of effort, and it deserves to be protected. Remember, your well-being matters just as much as anyone else's. Danger number 4. The technology tangle. Let's face it, the world has moved incredibly fast in the last 2 decades. Emails, text messages, online banking, social media, all these new gadgets and apps, it can be a lot to keep up with. For many older adults, this rapid technological change can feel utterly overwhelming. And unfortunately, that feeling of being a bit behind the curve is exactly what scammers and manipulators are counting on. Think about all those calls pretending to be from Medicare, the IRS, or your bank. Those alarming emails about urgent account issues or package delivery problems. These bad actors are constantly evolving their tricks. You miss one detail, click the wrong link in an email that looks legitimate, trust the wrong caller who sounds so convincing, and suddenly, your identity, your personal information, or your hard-earned money is gone, often in a flash. The deep reason this becomes such a risk for us is the sheer unfamiliarity with new digital platforms and the pace at which new threats emerge. It is hard to tell what's real from what's fake when the rules of the game keep changing. The cold, hard truth is, they're not just targeting you because you're old. They're targeting you because they assume you won't know how to fight back, or that you'll be too polite to question them. They prey on the trust that many of us grew up with, where a voice on the phone was usually legitimate, and an official-looking letter was always what it seemed. So, here's what you need to do. Never, ever click on suspicious links in emails or text messages, even if they seem to be from a known company. If you get an unexpected call from your bank, Medicare, or any government agency asking for personal information or demanding immediate action, just hang up. Always verify by calling them back on their officially published number, not the number the caller gave you. And remember, these agencies will rarely, if ever, demand payment over the phone or threaten you with arrest. Learning new tech can be fun, and it can keep you connected, but always, always be on guard. When in doubt, hang up and reach out to a trusted family member or friend for help. There's no shame in asking for a second pair of eyes. Danger number 5. The silent epidemic. Elder exploitation. Beyond money. Now, let's talk about something that hits even harder than just losing money. Elder exploitation that goes beyond your wallet. This is a silent epidemic, affecting not just your finances, but your time, your energy, and most painfully, your trust. It's when manipulation isn't just aiming for your bank account, but for your very spirit, your sense of self-worth. It stems from a deep human desire to maintain family connections, to believe the best in people, and often a reluctance to say no to those we care about, especially family. This is the insidious trap. We think if we just give a little more, they'll stay. If we say yes to one more request, they'll love us more or appreciate us. But here's what you must remember, and this is crucial. The people who truly care about you will never manipulate your kindness. They won't make you feel guilty for saying no. They won't disappear when you draw a healthy boundary. Take Mrs. Evelyn, for example. She's an 81-year-old widow, a sweet woman, full of life, but also carrying the weight of loneliness. Her nephew, who hadn't been in touch for years, suddenly started visiting. He'd tell her he missed her, that he wanted to reconnect. Evelyn, naturally, was thrilled. Family is everything, right? But soon, the visits turned into requests. First, bringing his laundry over, then asking to borrow her car, and finally, asking for cash. Evelyn kept saying yes, because she desperately wanted to believe in his love, in that rekindled family bond. But deep down, she knew she was being used. She just didn't want to admit it to herself or to anyone else. It felt too painful, too close to home. The stark reality is, after a lifetime of giving, you suddenly realize that not everyone deserves access to your heart or your resources. And yes, that realization hurts. It feels like a betrayal. But it's also a powerful wake-up call. Because the older you get, the more you have to protect not just your money or your home, but your peace, your health, and your emotional balance. Anyone who only loves you when you're giving them something isn't loving you. They're using you. Learn to recognize that critical distinction. It's about protecting the essence of who you are. Danger number 6. Kindness versus openness. The trap of being too friendly. We often hear that older folks are some of the kindest souls you'll ever meet. And it's true. Decades of life teach us patience. Loss teaches us compassion, and hardships often soften our edges. We listen more, interrupt less, and tend to let go of petty things. While that genuine kindness is truly beautiful, it comes with a hidden cost if it's not guarded. Because sometimes, being too friendly, too open, actually opens the door to the very people who will hurt you. It's not that you're naive. You've lived long enough to see the good and the bad in people. But there's something about old age that makes you just want to keep the peace. You've fought enough battles, and now you just want quiet. So, when someone starts invading your space, crossing your boundaries, or making you uncomfortable, what do we often do? We smile instead of speaking up. We say, "Oh, it's okay," even when it's absolutely not. And over time, that genuine friendliness, initially so warm and welcoming, turns into a trap. There's a big difference between true kindness and unchecked openness. Kindness is controlled, thoughtful, discerning. It's a choice. Openness, when left unchecked, can be dangerous, especially in this season of life. People assume that because you're smiling, you're agreeing. They think your silence is a yes, and when you don't push back, they assume they've got the green light to take more. Let me tell you about Ms. Carroll. She's 79, bright, witty, and one of those wonderful people who always bakes extra, just in case someone visits her retirement community. Her warmth is legendary. But lately, she's been tired. Not physically, but emotionally drained. She told me, "Doctor, I've never said no to anyone in my life, but now I'm just exhausted all the time." It turns out her apartment had become a perpetual drop-in center. People would stop by for coffee, advice, to vent their problems, or to ask for small favors. And Carol, bless her heart, felt like she couldn't refuse. But the painful truth was, no one ever asked her how she was doing. No one noticed when her fridge was empty. They came for her cookies and her convenient advice, not her company. She wasn't a friend to them, She was a free service. That's the quiet danger of being too open in old age. Your heart stays big, but your energy gets smaller. You don't bounce back like you used to, and one emotional drain can knock you out for days. You must learn to distinguish between true kindness, which is reciprocated and respectful, and unhealthy openness, which leaves you feeling used and depleted. CTA Gua Than Bai, Awareness Touchpoint. Has someone ever taken your kindness for granted? If so, type "no more" in the comments. Let's stand together. Danger number 7. The art of manipulation. It's a harsh reality, but some people have truly mastered the art of manipulation. They are experts at flattery, at making you feel uniquely needed, indispensable even. Once they find your weak spot, perhaps your loneliness, your generous nature, or even a sense of guilt, they don't let go easily. They understand human psychology, especially the vulnerabilities that can deepen with age. For many older adults, our social circles naturally shrink, and we might have fewer new relationships forming. This can make us more susceptible to placing our trust in individuals who expertly care for us, but with ulterior motives. They'll call it just asking for help. They'll say things like, "You're the only one I can truly talk to," or "No one understands me like you do." They'll frame it like you're doing a noble, essential thing for them, making you feel valued and important. But listen closely to this critical piece of advice. If someone always leaves with something from you, whether it's money, time, energy, or just your emotional bandwidth, and never brings anything back, not even peace or genuine care, they are not your friend. They are a taker. And takers, I promise you, don't stop unless you stop them. This is precisely where boundaries come in. Think of them not as walls to shove people out, but as fences to protect your heart, your energy, your well-being. You are absolutely allowed to say no. You are allowed to turn off your phone and enjoy a quiet afternoon. You are allowed to close your door and rest when you need to. You do not have to answer every call, and you certainly don't owe anyone your precious time just because you've known them a long time. Sometimes, tragically, the people you've known longest are the ones who take you most for granted. This is about reclaiming your power and protecting your peace, which you've earned the right to enjoy. Danger number 8. Guilt tripping and misconceptions of friendship. One of the toughest things to overcome when trying to set boundaries is that nagging feeling of guilt. It's almost an automatic reaction, isn't it? If someone tries to make you feel bad for saying no or for needing your space, it's natural to question yourself. But here is a crucial question to ask yourself in those moments. What are they really upset about? Are they genuinely concerned about you, or are they upset because they lost access to your kindness, or perhaps lost a measure of control over it? There's a big difference there. Many of us grew up in an era where avoiding conflict and keeping everyone happy was paramount. But that upbringing, while well-intentioned, can leave us unprepared for the manipulations of today. This is a deep-seated psychological trigger. If your no offends someone, it's a strong indicator that your yes was being taken for granted. Think about that for a moment. It means they valued your compliance more than your comfort, your well-being, or your needs. That's not friendship. That's something else entirely. True friends, real loved ones, respect your space. They understand your limits. They won't guilt-trip you, rush you, or demand things from you. They'll check in with you, not check up on you to see what they can get. They'll ask how you're feeling, not just what you can do for them. And if you don't have those kinds of people in your life yet, don't worry, they exist. But sometimes you have to clear out the wrong crowd, those who drain you, before the right ones, those who truly uplift you, Have the space to show up. Stop feeling guilty. You have nothing to prove to anyone. You've already given decades of your life to others. You don't owe anyone an explanation for needing rest, for needing peace, or for simply saying, "Not today." You've earned the right to choose who you allow into your space. You've earned the right to spend your days in peace, not obligation. Danger number 9. The energy drain and the bank account analogy. Have you ever felt that profound fatigue after certain visits, or after a long, intense phone call? That heavy, drained feeling that lingers? Many people attribute it to just getting old. But let me tell you, as a doctor, that often it's not simply age. That, my friends, is exhaustion from carrying too many people who aren't carrying you back. Think of your personal energy, your emotional reserves, like a bank account. Every phone call, every favor, every emotional conversation where you're doing all the giving, every time you push aside your own needs for someone else, that's a withdrawal. You're giving away a piece of your peace, a chunk of your precious energy. And if you're constantly making withdrawals without ever putting anything back in, you'll go bankrupt, spiritually, emotionally, and sometimes even physically. Our emotional and physical resilience naturally diminishes with age, making these constant drains even more impactful. What we could shrug off at 30 can knock us down for days at 70 or 80. Let me share the story of Mrs. Susan. She's 76, a retired nurse, living happily with her little dog, Toby, in a small house she paid off years ago. She's a wonderful, generous woman, almost to a fault. Her neighbors constantly asked for favors, watching their kids, picking up groceries, even borrowing her car. And her family? Well, they loved her. But it seemed they only called when they needed help with bills or babysitting. One day, she confided in me, "Doctor, I feel like I'm living for everyone else, but no one's really here for me." She was depleted. Her emotional bank account was in the red. And that right there is why boundaries are essential. Not to isolate yourself, not to become a recluse, but to preserve the very best of yourself. Because here's the truth you need to internalize. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone is entitled to your time. And you are absolutely allowed to be selective now, not out of arrogance or spite, but out of wisdom. If someone drains you every time you see them, that's not friendship. If you walk away from a conversation feeling worse than before, that's not a genuine connection. It's a clear signal that something needs to change. Danger number 10. Unchecked openness and the shrinking circle as a blessing. You've likely heard the saying before, the older you get, the smaller your circle becomes. For many, that sounds like a sad, lonely prospect. But no one really explains why that's not a loss at all. In fact, it's a blessing, because in this precious chapter of your life, you're not just managing your time, you are protecting your peace. And frankly, not everyone should have access to it. When we were younger, our lives were often a whirlwind of activity. Big families, busy workplaces, crowded holidays, people constantly coming and going. It was exhilarating, but also incredibly demanding. As we age, however, our capacity for noise, whether it's emotional drama or social overload, naturally shrinks. And that's not a weakness, it's wisdom. You've come to understand deeply that every conversation costs energy. Every visit leaves an imprint on your spirit. And if you allow the wrong people too close, they don't just take your time, they disturb your entire emotional balance. This isn't about being antisocial or shutting people out. It's about being profoundly intentional with whom you share your most precious resource, yourself. This is the time to guard your inner circle like it's a treasure chest, because it truly is. You're not just letting people into your house, you're letting them into your mind, your heart, your sacred daily routine. If they don't bring peace, clarity, genuine encouragement, or kindness, then they simply don't belong in that sacred space. History, my friends, doesn't always equal harmony. Just because someone has been in your life for years doesn't automatically mean they still deserve front-row access. Some people were a crucial part of your past. That doesn't, however, mean they belong in your present. Here's the powerful shift in perspective. You no longer owe everyone your availability. You don't have to return every single call the moment it comes in. You don't have to explain your silence if you need quiet time. You don't have to attend every gathering or reply to every message. Sometimes, peace looks like a quiet phone. Sometimes, protection sounds exactly like the word no. It's about making deliberate choices that honor your need for calm and happiness. Danger number 11. Practical protection. Your finances, time, space, and intuition. All right, let's talk practical protection now. Because while the emotional and spiritual sides are huge, there are very real, tangible risks in this season of life that you simply can't ignore. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about being smart and strategic with the valuable assets you have worked so hard to accumulate. First, let's talk about your finances. You've spent decades saving, building, and planning for these golden years. Don't let guilt, manipulation, or a sudden urgent request erase all that hard work in one conversation. If someone, even a family member, pressures you to lend money, co-sign a loan, or worse, asks for access to your bank accounts, you must hit the pause button. A truly caring person will never put you in a position where you have to choose between keeping your money and keeping their love. And this idea that you're older, so you shouldn't die with all that money and therefore should just give it away? That's nonsense. Your money is your money. It's not their inheritance until you say so, and you have every right to use it for your well-being, for things that bring you joy, for your comfort, or even just for your safety and future care. And yes, you have every right to say no, even to your own children. This isn't being mean, it's being responsible. Second, consider your time. Just because you might be home more often doesn't mean your time is free or worthless. Your time is precious. Don't give it away to people who don't value it, to those who consistently talk over you, make you feel small, or only show up when they have a problem they want you to solve. It's absolutely okay to limit how much access they have. Remember, your time is your life. Protect it fiercely. Third, your space. Your home should feel like a sanctuary, a place of peace and comfort, not a waiting room for people to dump their drama or a convenient stop for their errands. If someone's presence shifts the energy in your house, makes it feel tense, chaotic, or heavy, trust that feeling. You don't have to open your door to everyone, and you certainly don't have to explain why you need time alone. You do not owe hospitality at the cost of your health or your inner peace. Your home is your castle. Guard its serenity. Lastly, and perhaps most powerfully, your intuition. That feeling in your gut when something feels off. That little voice that whispers, "This doesn't feel right." That, my friends, is not paranoia. That's wisdom. It's the culmination of a lifetime of experiences, all those lessons learned, trying to guide you. You've earned the right to trust yourself. If someone's words sound sweet, but something deep inside you tenses up, listen to that feeling. You're not being rude, you're being profoundly aware and self-protective. Here's the most powerful truth of all. The moment you stop letting the wrong people in, the right ones will suddenly have the space to show up. Maybe it's a new friend at the senior center who actually listens when you talk. Maybe it's a nurse or caregiver who truly respects your independence. Maybe it's a neighbor who checks on you without ever asking for anything in return. Or maybe, just maybe, it's rediscovering that deep peace in your own company, realizing that being alone is not the same thing as being lonely. Set clear financial limits, schedule your time, assert your space, and always, always trust your gut. Friends, we've discussed vital truths about navigating our golden years with wisdom. Take Mr. Arthur, a kind 74-year-old seeking connection, whose generosity made him vulnerable to exploitation. His story reflects a common, silent struggle. The key lesson: our health, finances, and peace depend on small daily actions and firm boundaries. These are practical shields to protect what matters most. Be wise, not weary. Clear, not cold. Apply your experience to safeguard your well-being. We covered 10 critical dangers and protection strategies for our golden years. Knowledge is power only when acted upon. So, what's one boundary or self-care step you'll take this week to reclaim your peace? Maybe saying no to draining requests or dedicating an hour to yourself. Share your commitment below to inspire others. If this resonated, give it a like. Subscribe to join our community for more life-changing wisdom. Share this with someone who needs it, a friend or family member. Your share could spark the courage to change their life.